This is Willie's, the 10 worst quest of Classic WoW. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I saw the thumbnail, so like the Tortuga quest. The RP in that quest is actually kind of good. I'm trying to think of like what quest I hate. Underwater quests in general are kind of annoying. The homing chicken quest, someone said. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a quest that like every time, oh, the Green Hills of Stranglethorn, that's an obvious one. I'm trying to think if there's like one more I can think of. The Onyxia Attunement quest, where you have to walk all the way through Stormwind, that one's kind of brutal, especially if you're waiting. Anyway, let's take a look at what Willie thinks are the 10 worst quests at Classic WoW.
World of Warcraft is full of amazing quests, epic storylines, memorable characters, and adventures that take you across the entire world. But let's be honest, not every single quest is all that great. Some of them are genuinely annoying to do, whether that's spending hours camping a spawn, escort quests that seem designed to fail, or being sent across the world several times in a row for practically no reward. Vanilla definitely had its fair share of quests that made you really question why you were putting yourself through this. And today I wanted to do 10 of my personal worst quests in Vanilla World of Warcraft.
Okay.
These are quests which I remember for all the wrong reasons, and are quests which often make me think, am I going to really do this one again, or is there just an easier way to do this which I've clearly missed out on? At this point in time I've leveled over a dozen characters through vanilla, including some on hardcore, so I'd say I've got a pretty good amount of experience with questing in this game, and it's something which I really still do enjoy doing. And what makes a bad quest isn't necessarily just something having a low drop rate. There's plenty of quests like that. The truly bad quests in this game go above and beyond that for so many different reasons. So with that said, let's make a start. But before we go on, a quick word from today's sponsor, Heroes of History.
Okay.
Heroes of History is a 4X strategy game that puts you in charge of building and expanding a civilization while collecting a roster of rare heroes from across history and mythology. The progression hits that satisfying rhythm of research, development, and tactical combat. It's that classic gameplay loop that always makes you want to see what's around the next corner. The hero collection side is where things really open up. Each hero has their own role and build paths that feed into your battle lineups, and working out the right combinations as you push into the endgame is something that's real.
Dude, you know what I've never understood? I've never understood marketing with QR codes on a video. If you're watching it on your phone, it's incredibly annoying because then you can't take the picture of the phone because you already have your phone on the video. It's like, how do you actually do, like, just give me the link, bro. And then if it's on the computer, like, and I don't have my phone nearby, it's like, give me the darn link. Where do I go? And if I have my phone, then like I could just type in the link anyway. But like if I have my phone next to the computer, I guess it kind of works. But like in any other situation, it just sucks. Has anyone else dealt with this? I don't understand QR codes for marketing. You know what QR codes are good, are fine for? If you're at a restaurant and they want to do like a hands-free menu and there's a QR code on the table and you like, that kind of works. Sure, there's uses for it, but like, bro, I swear like all these marketing agencies are trying to make QR codes like, what is the point? Like, dude, this is just... Anyway, pet peeve aside.
Engaging. Heroes of History also plays on both mobile and browser with no download needed, so you can hop on and play whenever is convenient for you. Right now there's a limited time Ancient Egypt event running until April 28th, introducing 2 new heroes, Tutankhamun and Nefertiti. Once the event's over, he'll be gone for good. You can use the QR code or my link in the description to claim the Anubis Awakening starter pack, including 10 animators, 2000 XP, 20,000 food, and 5 Duat keys, so make sure you get it whilst it's still there. Many thanks to Heroes of History for the sponsor today. Let's get on back to WoW. We're starting off with a quest in Ongoro Crater, which at a first glance is very straightforward on paper, but in practice it's always come across as really annoying to complete, and that is the quest Beware of Pterrordax.
They never spawn,
This quest is very simple, it just has you kill a bunch of Pterrordax all across Ongoro Crater. The regular Pterrordax for some reason are bizarrely difficult to find. There are a number of them that roam across the center of the zone, but I nearly always find myself coming up short on this quest and having to go out of my way way to find the last few. Often the areas with the crystal pylons contain a few normal Pterrordax for you to finish off, but if someone's been there before you, I swear these things have a really long respawn timer. Overall, it's not too terrible of a quest, but one which I don't particularly enjoy.
So the spot I use for this quest is on the southern part of Ungoro. There's like a southwestern and a southeastern, like right on the bottom tip. You kind of like run your mount up and get there. If no one has killed them, great. You can just kill them all real quick, done. But if someone's been there, like Willie said, it's like...
We're going through time and again.
Brutal.
And number 9 is the Annals of Darrowshire. The Annals of Darrowshire is part of a longer quest chain involving Chromie and the Redpath family. And whilst this is one of the more interesting quests in the game from a lore perspective, this particular step can be frustrating for a very specific reason. Your task is to find the Annals of Darrowshire, a book located inside of Underhold City. It's simple enough. You go into the building in the center without aggroing all the undead outside, and then you realize there are actually a lot of book spawns in this building, and when you click on the wrong book, it would spawn up to 2 level 56 guardians that applied a stacking debuff, and at maximum stacks it would reduce your stamina and strength by up to 100. So if you're playing a melee class that can't get rid of this debuff, it was genuinely horrible. These mobs were just an obstacle and a failure point if you click the wrong book. Here's the thing about this quest which I didn't actually realize for the longest time. The correct book has a different coloration to the wrong ones, although it can be quite subtle and difficult to see. Another problem is that sometimes the correct book just hasn't spawned inside of the room, and you just have to randomly click wrong book, spawning these annoying enemies that stack up this debuff on you until the correct one spawns in the room. Unless of course somebody else comes in the room, sees the book first, takes it and leaves, because I mean it's a quest item on the floor, only one person can pick that up at once. I swear sometimes I've spent 15 to 20 minutes in here because I didn't realize that there was a book that was a different color to the others, and I was just clicking the wrong ones for ages. This
is one of the moments where like being a streamer was very helpful. Okay, I come in this room in the Annals of Darrowshire every time and everyone's like, Czar, click the bright book, it looks different than the rest. Nope, don't click that, click the bright one, Czar. So like I learned this pretty quick on like my first or second playthrough, that like you click the bright one.
Now, but it can still be annoying to get the correct book to spawn. At number 8, we have Rescue 00X17TM. This is of course part of the absolutely infamous chicken escort quest in vanilla World of Warcraft, and the one I'm picking out for this is the one in Tanaris, because on any given day the chicken quest can be quite difficult, but this one especially I find has the most challenging combat encounter. The first ambush you have is the particularly difficult one. It will spawn 3 scorpids that attack both you and the chicken. The problem here is that there are nearby mobs that can very easily chain pull, and you suddenly are fighting 4 or 5 enemies, and even though your character's a good level by the time you're attempting this quest and can hold their own, taking on 4 or even 5 enemies is something that most class in the game will still struggle with. On top of this, if somebody else has done this quest before you and they failed it, their mobs from the first ambush can already be there before you get to that location, and then it spawns a second set, which is pretty much a guaranteed failure of this quest.
What I did on accident one time on this quest is I did the first one, killed 3 scorpions, but then the chicken died, so I failed it. So then I instantly restarted the quest, and the 3 scorpion bodies were still there on the ground because I just killed them, and they didn't spawn again, so we just walked right past this step. We literally just skipped it, so that was an accident, but it totally worked.
So really the best way to go about this is to go down the path where the first ambush happens and just make sure the area is clear of mobs before you start. Because if you just fight the 3 scorpids as the quest intends, it's really not too bad, but this is just a quest where things can go wrong so easily, so that's why it's getting a point on the list. At number 7, we're staying in Tanaris for another escort quest. You already know there's going to be a bunch of escort quests on this, because if the chicken quest wasn't enough in Tanaris, there is also Tuga's Tuga's quest. Tuga is a lost turtle who has strayed very far from home and is found in the Thistle Shrub Valley in southeastern Tanaris. His wife Torta is waiting for him all the way at the opposite side of the zone, and it's your job to reunite the two. And Blizzard did that ever annoying thing they do with escorts, where when you're on a mount, the mob is much slower than you, and when you're running, it's a little bit faster. Often I just do this quest on foot because you're inevitably going to be pulling a few more enemies while you're going across the zone, and if you're on a mount, you constantly have to stop and start, which is just more annoying than running. So that means I'm running across the entire zone of Tanaris, and wow, Tanaris is a really big zone. The rewards from completing the quest aren't even that great either, considering how long it takes. And if you're ever feeling particularly brave, you can start Tuga's quest, go all the way to the east, start the chicken quest, and then go north, because both of them have a pretty similar handing point.
I've done
that one before. Just maybe don't do that if you're on a PvP server, because I can only imagine the psychological pain from getting ganked at the end of 2 escort quests after running for so long. And number 6, we have Call of Water. So class quests in vanilla are generally pretty amazing. They give your class identity, they send you on meaningful journeys, and they reward you with iconic abilities or items. And most of the Shaman Totem quests are also pretty good. Apart from Call of Water, this is a quest Shamans could start as early as level 20 to obtain their Water Totem. The problem of this quest is just how much traveling was involved. Now sure, by level 20 you do have Ghost Wolf, but still it is going to be a lot of extra running. Most of the quest takes part in the Barrens, which is already fine, you're going to be around there at level 20, but the particularly annoying bit is when it randomly sends you over to halfway down Silver Pine Forest to kill a few water elementals. Because of this, oftentimes people leveling Shaman will leave this quest till a bit later, but they can bundle it up with doing something important like a run of Shadowfang Keep, for instance. Or then again, the Water Totem is more supportive for groups rather than being good personally, so sometimes people don't even bother until they're a way higher level, and maybe until they've even got their mount. Nevertheless, out of all the class quests in the game, I think Call of Water deserves a spot here. At number 5, we have Free from the Hold. Okay, this will be the last escort quest, they just deserve many spots on a list like this. Escorts already have a bad reputation, but this one for me is just the absolute worst. This quest is started at Northwatch Hold in the Barrens, a heavily fortified Alliance outpost in Horde territory. Your objective is to rescue a high elf prisoner locked in one of the towers and then escort him over to Ratchet. The challenge in the first place was even getting to this NPC, as Northwatch Hold is super dense with enemies. And once you get to the quest location and start it, he just wanders off on his merry way, and you have to hope that things haven't respawned. The problem is in Northwatch Hold there are both tons of ranged and melee enemies. Sometimes a ranged enemy will aggro the NPC and he will go running over to them, and in that process he will pull a few more things at the same time. And this quest happens at a really low level, and when you're at a low level you just don't have many of your class's strongest abilities yet, so you can really struggle to fight off several enemies at the same time. On top of that, if somebody else has already started the quest, it takes absolutely ages for them to complete it and get up.
These are some of my favorite quests to try to do on hardcore, like when I do my hardcore challenge runs, because it's just they're hard, which is fun. Like this one specifically, I think I've only done it once or twice on my runs throughout all my characters, but like the respawns are crazy. The problem with this quest on like a new hardcore server launch is there's so many people here, you can't even get the escort, and if you did, there'd be so many other people farming that like it would make it easy. Like hardcore is almost harder if you're like the only one there, because then there's no help to clear anything, right? And I think we've done it like that maybe once when hardcore wasn't quite as poppin'.
All the way back to Ratchet. You even have to go through the pirate camps along the coast, which are also super densely populated, although there is usually enough other Horde players around to help clear things out.
Right,
Nevertheless, Free from the Hold is always a quest where it feels as though you're one bad pull away from failing. At number 4, I have Gorenzo's Orders. This quest started with Piznik, a goblin working in Windshire Crag Mine. You need to protect him whilst he mines a mysterious ore and watch out for kobold threats. So an interesting enough enough idea for a quest. The problem is, however, the amount of enemies that spawn for this quest is genuinely insane.
Yeah.
Again, this is another quest at a relatively low level, so you're not going to have all your best abilities yet.
Yeah.
But you'll face 3 waves of enemies. The first wave is 3 melee mobs, the second is 2 casters and 2 melee, and the third is 3 melee mobs plus a mini-boss type mob that can buff the others. And there's only a small bit of downtime between each wave, depending on how fast you're clearing things out. The actual level recommendation for this quest is also very low, and it's not shown as an elite or a group quest, but it absolutely feels like one. For the level you pick this quest up.
That's the problem with some classic quest like links. It's like, oh, level 22. Like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, no, this is harder than like so many quests, even at like 28, right? Soloing this even at 28 is tough, and it says 22. Like, it's just completely wrong, you know?
It probably is one of the most difficult quests in the game, and if things go wrong and you have to run, well, you're inside a cave which has super fast respawns, so you essentially cannot escape once you begin this quest. You either finish it or die trying. I mean, you just have to look at comments on Wowhead for this quest. People are warning how hard it is and to never start this quest on hardcore. It's a quest that consistently catches players off guard.
Yep.
After completing the quest, you deliver the ore sample, and there are actually some decent quest rewards, but for the difficulty involved in it, I wouldn't recommend it unless you want a challenge. There are very few quests in this game which I essentially always skip, but number 3, the love potion, is one of them. This quest starts off from a succubus in the Grim Guzzler Tavern inside of Blackrock Depths, and she wants your help brewing a love potion, so you think, sure, that won't be so bad, maybe there'll be some ingredients nearby that I can pick up and have this completed, and you'd be wrong. You're going to need to go across the entire world for these ingredients. You'd need Grom's blood that can be bought off the auction house, that's no problem. You'd need 10 giant silver veins which dropped off giants in Ashara, the opposite continent, and you'd also need to fill a vial of water from the Galactus Springs crate.
I think this is what makes Classic WoW so good though. The fact that you get a quest in BRD, which then takes you across the world and there's no flying mounts, and then now you're venturing, you're running across the land, you see other players doing the same thing. It makes the world feel so alive. Like, I love that, man.
In Ungoro Crater. So from the center of Blackrock Depths, this quest says, okay, can you just go over to Ashara real quick and then Ungoro Crater. So assuming you manage to work that route into your questing somehow, there's probably someone that's done it, then you have to fight your way back to the Grim Guzzler again inside of BRD and hand in the quest. And on top of the item rewards, which are pretty bad by the way, there is an additional reward as well. You can talk to Mistress Nagmara after the quest and she will open the door to the Grim Guzzler for you, allowing you to continue onwards. This is the third way to open the door, which essentially never gets done because the other 2 ways are just infinitely easier. This quest was clearly something you were meant to pick up in the early to mid-level 50s, around those times when you will be in zones such as Ashara or Ungoro Crater, but realistically it's often just way too annoying to justify doing this quest, so often I just skip it out entirely. And number 2 is a quest that involves some of the most travelling in vanilla World of Warcraft. And travelling itself isn't a bad thing. There's the quest with Lincoln in Ungoro Crater, for instance, which I think's great because it tells a good story and has good rewards. This quest, however, not so much. And this is the quest Sweet Amber. So the quest starts off with Grimboo's Thunderbrew, a dwarf in Westfall. He wants your help making a special brew of ale, and for this he's going to need you to go across the world multiple times. First of all, you need to go over to Stranglethorn Vale for some holy water. You don't actually have to be on the quest to do this, you can just go and pick this up whenever, so that one's not necessary.
Yeah, like what I've noticed with this guy's quests, if you already know what quest is happening next, you can kind of get all the stuff along the way, especially with the first quest, like with the I thought what he was gonna say is like the ale one where you have to get some in Stormwind, Goldshire, I think, and then Darkshire, and then Lakeshire. I think those are the 4, and then you like turn it in there or something like that, or maybe you just pick it up dry times. And like, but if you know this quest beforehand, you can just pick it up as you're running. It's not even bad. And I think I've done something similar with this one, but I think I have to out myself here. I think I was using Reset XP, and it told me like, oh, go pick up the holy water now or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Necessarily too bad. The second quest step requires 3 sacks of grain. One of them's in the hinterlands, one's from Swamp of Sorrows, and one's from Pterrordax. You get those, go all the way back to him again. Third step requires a true silver bar. That one's easy, you just buy it off the auction house. The fourth step requires you to hunt for a sycamore branch from a rare spawn roaming mob in Pterrordax. So you go over to there, get that, go back to the NPC again, and then the fifth and final step requires a charred oak branch from Searing Gorge. So you go over to Searing Gorge, get that, and then go back to Westfall again.
Only done this once
so you're going
ever.
from Westfall, Stranglethorn, back to Westfall, Hinterlands, Swamp of Sorrows, Pterrordax, back to Westfall, Pterrordax, back to Westfall, Searing Gorge, back to Westfall. There are multiple high-level steps, obscure items, rare spawning mobs, and at the end of this epic questline, you get Thunderbruise Boot Flask, a trinket that does 50 fire damage every second to enemies in front of you for 5 seconds, and it has a 30-minute cooldown. I mean, if you're a tank, it's actually not bad to use occasionally if you're doing big pulls, but you're going to be getting better trinkets from significantly easier quests. I think the combination of the amount of traveling you have to do and the quest reward make this a quest which I know I have done exactly once, and I don't think I'll be doing it again, you know. If you've done a lot of questing in vanilla World of Warcraft, you should actually have a pretty good idea which one is going to be at the #1 spot, because it is so absolutely...
Is it Mother's Milk?
Absolutely awful, it is infamous. This is the quest Mother's Milk from Ragged John in the Burning Steppes. He wants a sample of Mother Smolderweb's poison, which is called Mother's Milk. It's a debuff that gets used during the fight by the spider, and the quest objective is simply milked. You can make of that what you will. First, you're going to need to get to a Mother Smolderweb in LBRS, which is a 5-player dungeon way up in Blackrock Spire. Usually you do this as part of a group, though I have read that some people go out of their way and get this one done solo. But anyway, you get to the boss, you get poisoned with the debuff, and assuming nobody dispels it off you, you now have to get all the way back to Ragged John to get milked. Here's the inconvenient bit, because if you are doing LBRS as a group, you essentially must interrupt the dungeon and go and hand this debuff in. A, because it's got a timer on it, it'll time out before you finish the dungeon, and B, this debuff also frequently triggers web explosion.
Bro, next time I play Classic Era, I want to play a Fury Prot Warrior. I've never done it. After tanking as a Paladin in Classic, all I wanted to do was play Fury Prot, and every time I see a clip, I just want to be that guy, man. It's gotta be Fury Prot, man.
This roots
Looks
you and
so
all
fun.
nearby allies for 10 seconds. It's undispellable, has no diminishing return, and no internal cooldown. So if you are a group of people trying to hand this in, this debuff can just chain proc and you're standing there and there's quite literally nothing you can do about it. So if you try and complete this quest whilst you're in a group, you're kind of griefing your group, which isn't really what you want to be doing. So you have to half out or run back to the quest giver before this debuff expires. Also, anyone on the way back could just...
Plus, look how cool those shoulders look, man. Like, are you kidding me? Those look sick.
randomly dispel you and the quest will fail, and if you're on a PvP server, of course, dying will also remove the debuff. There are just so many ways this can go wrong. And what's your reward for this deal? Ragged John's Never-Ending Cup, which has an on-use effect which isn't terribly useful either. Overall, Mother's Milk is an infamous quest because it's A, annoying to do, B, can go wrong in so many ways, and C, is difficult to do in a group because you have to randomly leave halfway throughout the dungeon, and if you're traveling together, you are all just going to spam root each other. And I think for questing in vanilla, it really doesn't get worse than this. So there you have it. Out of the many quests in vanilla, these are 10 of my absolute worst ones. So what do you reckon? Are there any other quests I should have included here? Or do you actually enjoy doing any of these quests perhaps?
One of the ones that comes to my mind after he says that is the More Ladim quest line. More Ladim, I guess I should say. Where like you do all of this stuff and you learn all this RP, and it's like the quests are great. Like you try to like maybe try to solo them or whatever. It's like super cool, and then like you receive this sword, which I don't know about you guys, but I have vendored it every single time ever, even on self-found playthroughs, and it's just like the sword looks cool, the RP behind it is cool, it has a proc that's cool. I want to use this sword, but it sucks. Like, it gets me every time. It's like, man, I want to use this sword, but it's just no stats on it. The chance on hit is, chance on hit is fine, but no stats. DPS is kind of, it's just like, ugh. Anyway, some of the quest rewards, I hope they redo in Classic Plus. Just like, if the quest is long and hard and epic, you get something that like maybe isn't as good as a dungeon quality item, but like good enough to want to maybe use sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, I like that video. I'm glad we watched that one. Willie, give you a little thumbs up there, Willie. 10 worst quest of Classic WoW. Solid list there. Massive cheese.